All right, ready to dive deep? Today, we're going to be exploring Ikigai.
Ikigai.
Yeah. You know that Japanese secret to a long and happy life?
Oh yeah, Ikigai. That's been like everywhere lately.
It has, but trust me, this is more than just another, wellness trend. We're going deeper than that. We're going straight to Okinawa, Japan.
Okinawa.
Yeah, an island with one of the highest concentrations of centenarians in the world.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And we're diving deep into Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life.
Okay.
A book that shows how the Okinawans actually weave Ikigai into their daily lives.
Interesting, because I mean, who wouldn't want to know the secret to a longer and happier life?
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but Ikigai though, it's more than just living longer, isn't it?
Way more.
It's about figuring out what actually makes your life worth living.
It's like that aha moment, What gets you up in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about recognizing what makes even your ordinary days joyful.
Yeah.
It's like finding your purpose and your passions and your skills, your connections, even your work.
Okay, so it's more than just like find your dream job and then boom, you've got it.
Exactly. It's bigger than that. Think of it like Ikigai is where these things come together. What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and yeah, what you can get paid for.
Okay. That's actually a really helpful way to look at it. So it's less about like a huge career change and more about finding that fulfillment in what you're already doing.
Yes. It's about aligning what you do with what you believe in and finding meaning in your everyday life. And this actually connects to Viktor Frankl's idea of logotherapy. Have you heard of that?
Logotherapy.
Yeah.
Remind me what that is again?
So it's basically the search for meaning in life.
Okay.
Frankl thought that even when things are hard, having a purpose, like that's super important for us to be okay.
Right.
And that idea, it really connects with Ikigai. It's not about pretending like there are no problems, but about having a reason to go through those problems.
Right. So it's less about having a totally easy life and more about like being driven to keep going even when it's tough. So how does that actually work in Okinawa? What's their like secret?
Well, for one thing, they practice something called hara-hachi-bu.
Harachibu.
Have you heard of
I
this?
think so.
It's the idea that you eat until you're 80% full.
Oh, right. Yeah, I have heard of that. But honestly, sometimes I just want to eat everything.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But think about it. How often do you keep eating even after you're not hungry anymore? The Okinawans are really mindful even about their eating. They listen to their bodies and stop when they feel satisfied.
I get that. It's like being present while you're eating instead of like zoning out and just finishing your plate without thinking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just food. This mindfulness, they use it in other parts of their lives too, and it helps them be healthier and live longer.
So it's like Harahachibu is like a tiny example of how they approach life mindful and intentional. What other cool stuff can we learn from the Okinawans?
Well, another interesting thing is that a lot of the centenarians in Okinawa, they have two jobs.
Yeah.
They have a primary job and then a secondary occupation.
Okay, so we're not talking about like retiring and just relaxing on the couch after 65.
No, not really. They think that staying active, like really active and engaged, is super important for a long and fulfilling life.
So it's about having passions and contributing to the community and like never stop learning.
Yeah, exactly.
Does the book give us like any examples of this in action?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's this one story about a woman, she's from Okinawa, and she says her secret is twofold. She never eats meat,
Okay.
and she loves to dance.
Dancing. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even now that she's older, she still finds so much joy and energy from dancing,
Right.
It really shows how important it is to keep doing what you love no matter how old you are if you want to feel alive.
That's awesome. But I bet some of our listeners are thinking, okay, dancing is fun and all, but what about all those everyday things we have to do that are like, well, kind of boring?
Right, I get that. And that's where flow state comes in.
Okay, flow state.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like finding those moments where you're totally absorbed in what you're doing, even if it's something ordinary,
Okay.
and you feel happy doing it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Like when you're so into a project, you completely lose track of time.
Yes, exactly. You're in the zone. And the book makes this point that you don't need something huge to happen to reach that flow state.
Right.
In Japan, they even have this thing called, get this, microflow.
Microflow.
Yeah. It's about finding flow in the little everyday things.
So, like, what would be an example of microflow?
Okay, so the book gives this example of an elevator operator.
Okay.
And she finds her work, even though it seems pretty simple, she finds it really satisfying. She takes pride in it. It's about approaching even those little tasks with intention and finding a way to be engaged.
I love that. It's like changing your whole perspective, finding meaning even in those little things.
Yeah, exactly. What if we all did our chores that way?
All
It'd
right.
be a totally different experience.
Right. So much more enjoyable. So, we've talked about eating mindfully, staying active, and finding flow in our routines. But what about when things get tough? Because life isn't always, sunshine and rainbows. How does the Okinawan philosophy deal with, like, resilience?
They actually see resilience as a way of life.
Okay.
There's this Japanese proverb that goes, Nana korobi ya uki.
Nana korobi yaoki.
It means fall 7 times, rise 8.
I love that.
All right.
Fall 7 times, rise 8. So simple, but so powerful.
It's about never giving up no matter how many times life knocks you down.
But resilience is more than just being persistent, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's about having this inner strength to handle challenges without letting them completely throw you off track. It's about choosing how you react when things get tough.
Right. Like they say, you can't always control the waves, but you can learn to surf. Right.
Exactly.
So how do Okinawans build that inner strength?
The book actually connects this back to Buddhist and Stoic philosophies, which is interesting.
Okay.
And they both talk about how we can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we react to it.
So it's not about like never feeling negative emotions. It's more about choosing how we respond to those emotions.
Exactly. We can acknowledge how we feel without letting it control our actions, without letting it take away our purpose. And one way they suggest building this resilience is through negative visualization.
Wait, negative visualization?
Yeah,
That sounds a little counterintuitive. Why would I want to focus on the negative?
I know, right? It's not about dwelling on negativity. It's more about mentally preparing yourself for challenges that might come up. It's like taking the sting out of the unknown in a way.
I need to hear more, though. How does thinking about negative things actually help?
Well, think of it this way. By imagining those worst-case scenarios, you're kind of taking away their power to completely surprise you if they do happen.
Okay, so it's like mentally rehearsing for those tough situations so that they don't feel as overwhelming if they actually occur.
Yes,
Huh?
precisely. And this actually ties into another really important concept in Ikigai wabi-sabi.
Wabi-sabi. Okay, this is a new one. What is wabi-sabi?
So wabi-sabi is all about embracing the fact that life is imperfect and always changing. It's about finding beauty in those imperfections, in those things that are fleeting and incomplete.
Okay. That's a really different way of looking at things. It's almost the opposite of how our culture is, always striving for perfection. Can you give me an example of wabi-sabi in Japanese culture?
Absolutely. Imagine a teacup, but it's cracked. Now, instead of seeing it as flawed or damaged, they treasure it because of those cracks. Each one tells a story, makes it unique. That's wabi-sabi.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So it's
Right.
like appreciating the entire journey, the imperfections, the fact that each moment is unique, right?
Yes. And this connects perfectly with this other idea they have called Ichigo Ichi,
Yeah, right.
which essentially means this moment is happening now and it won't happen again.
Right.
So we should really savor each experience and appreciate how fleeting it is.
I love that. It's like a reminder to be present in each moment, find the joy in it, even if it's not perfect, because it won't last forever.
Yeah. It's about shifting our perspective, moving away from chasing perfection, and instead embracing the beauty of impermanence. And if we take that idea even further, it leads us to another concept, anti-fragility.
Anti-fragility. We talked about resilience, but this is new. What's the difference?
Okay, so resilience is about being strong enough to handle shocks and come out the other side basically unchanged.
Okay.
Anti-fragility, though, is about actually getting stronger from those challenges.
Okay. So less like a strong oak tree that weathers the storm and more
More like the Hydra. Remember that mythical creature? You cut off one head and 2 more grow back.
Right. Okay, that's a powerful image. So are we supposed to go looking for trouble to become stronger?
No, it's not about seeking out hardship. It's about structuring your life in a way that lets you actually benefit from those unexpected events.
Okay.
The book uses the example of Ishinomaki. It's a city in Japan.
Okay.
It was hit hard by the tsunami in 2011, but when they rebuilt, it was stronger and even more resilient than before.
So it's about using those tough experiences, those challenges as opportunities to learn and grow and become stronger.
Exactly. And the book actually gives us 3 key things we can do to build that anti-fragility in our own lives.
Oh, I love this. Actionable steps. Okay. Tell me, what's the first one?
The first one is to create redundancies.
Redundancies.
Yeah, like backup plans, multiple sources of support, that kind of thing.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Don't rely on just one income stream, for example. have a variety of interests and hobbies, nurture a diverse group of friends.
Makes sense.
The broader your base, the more anti-fragile you become.
It's like that saying, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. What's the second step?
The second step is to take calculated risks.
Okay, so not like gambling everything away, but more like making strategic moves that push us out of our comfort zones.
Exactly. It's about trying new things, even if they're a little scary, and then learning from the outcome, whether it's a success or a failure.
Okay. What about the third step?
The third step is about eliminating those things that make you fragile.
Okay, so like a Marie Kondo approach to life, identifying those things that make us vulnerable and getting rid of them.
You got it. Could be anything. Reducing debt,
Yeah.
ditching bad habits, setting boundaries in relationships that aren't good for you.
So it's like we're reinforcing our foundation, making it stronger, so we're ready for whatever comes our way.
Exactly. It's about being proactive, designing a life that not only survives challenges, but actually thrives because of them.
Wow, we have really gone deep on this deep dive. Ikigai is one of those things that seems so simple on the surface, but then when you really get into it, it's like, wow, there's a lot to it.
It really is. It's not just something you find once and then you're done.
Huh.
It's more like this journey you're always on, figuring yourself out, growing, changing. And it's amazing how all these different things we talked about, from Harahachi-bu to anti-fragility, they all kind of work together.
Yeah, it's like each one makes the other stronger, like weaving a tapestry. But instead of threads, it's these different practices. And the end result is this like vibrant, resilient life.
That's a great way to put it. It really is about always being open to new discoveries, trying new things,
Yeah.
and always like refining what it is that makes your life meaningful.
And it's so much more than just finding the perfect job, right? It's about being present in your life, finding the joy in those everyday things, and yeah, even embracing those little imperfections.
Absolutely. The book, Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life, it doesn't just tell you how to live longer, it shows you how to have a more fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And what I love is that it applies to everyone. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from, what you do for a living.
It's like this universal invitation to live with more purpose, more joy. Honestly, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening for me, and I hope our listeners are feeling super inspired right now. So as we wrap up our exploration of Ikigai, I want to leave you all with something to think about. It's inspired by a haiku from the end of the book, and it goes like this. If happiness is a choice, then what's one small thing you can do today to bring more purpose and joy into your life?
It doesn't have to be something big, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just really enjoying that first cup of coffee, taking a nice walk outside, telling someone you love them.
Perfectly said. It's about noticing and appreciating those little sparks of Ikigai that are already all around us. We hope you'll keep exploring this idea of Ikigai. Find those things that make you passionate, that give you purpose.
Yeah, live a life that feels meaningful.
Yes. Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep living your Ikigai.